Kevin, otherwise known as Form BX257, here to bring another old G.I. Joe toy review, and in fact, a second look at one of my top 10 favorite figures. I'll be taking a look at the Cobra Intelligence Officer, the 1984 Baroness, the original bad girl. Now, in the comic books, she first appears in the very first issue, but she's wearing a very plain outfit, kind of like a blue jumpsuit with like black gloves and black boots. It's very generic, really. She doesn't get her very distinctive outfit until issue number 23. And in the cartoons, she first appears in the 1983 miniseries, A Real American Hero, again sporting the blue outfit, and it isn't until 1984 miniseries, The Revenge of Cobra, that she gets her distinctive black outfit again in 1984. And speaking of the outfit, it was very daring of Hasbro's designers to have actually made the figure of her in what is basically a dominatrix outfit. Sorry, there's just really no other way of putting that. Yeah, it's a cool outfit, but come on. It's a little hint wink wink to the young boys out there, I'm sure. Another really interesting thing about the figure is that she's actually the only female figure in the vintage series to actually come with a gun, and a big one at that. One of the things that I really appreciated about the figure, and what actually makes the Baroness, both the figure and the character, really appealing to me personally, is that she does sort of begin her character as kind of a two-dimensional bad girl, sort of a yes man to Cobra Commander. But she does really evolve beyond that, and she starts to be a very scheming person. However, it isn't until Destro is introduced that we get a sort of a dynamic between the two characters, and she really becomes a more three-dimensional character. She's a little more humanized after that. And that was, again, very much appreciated. For most intents and purposes, I don't think that Hasbro really had any intention of making this character, even though she's an obvious counterpoint to the other female characters that Hasbro had produced. On the one hand, I really like the Baroness's sculpt. It's very, very well detailed, with tiny little details all over the body that you really have to see in person in order to really appreciate. The problem is that, well, it's an all-black figure, and quite frankly, a little bit of silver on the buckles or the little symbols on her gauntlets really could have made this a far better figure. Even like gray sort of, clothing behind her black armor to be cartoon accurate, or blue behind her black armor to be comic book accurate would have been even better. I suppose Hasbro didn't want to really spend the time on the figure because, let's face it, they didn't make as many bad guys as they do good guys, and they didn't make as many female figures as they did male figures, so the Baroness was a fairly limited run back in 1984 and 1985. Another thing I'd like to note is that, well, in my opinion, her face is actually one of the better female face sculpts that the early G.I. Joe figures did, which is really impressive because normally, her glasses are kind of sculpted on, and normally that's another thing toy companies had a real big problem with doing back in the day. The Baroness comes with, well, she's kind of rocking the sexy lady with the big gun look. And the big gun is a high-density laser rifle. At least, that's what they're calling it on the card. To be quite honest, considering the proportions of the gun and just the look, it really reminds me of like a large caliber sniper rifle. Kind of like I don't know, to make an example, like a Barrett M82 or something along those lines. And she also comes with a backpack. A very curious small backpack, which is just a really big Cobra head. One of the things I noticed is that it's sort of very angular, rather a lot like Zartan's backpack. Only Zartan's backpack opens to reveal, a false face and stuff like that, but Baroness's backpack doesn't do anything. But considering the Baroness is a intelligence officer. It actually does have kind of a rubbery hairpiece, which is a separate piece from her head. It wouldn't have been unreasonable for her to have come with a false mask as well, and to just sort of place it on her face between the plastic of her face and the hairpiece. As a figure, the Baroness's counterpart was, of course, Scarlet. In the cartoons and even in the comic books, they didn't really fight against each other. As you can see, Scarlet is actually quite a bit shorter than the Baroness, and that's because Hasbro purposely tried to make Scarlet sort of more feminine, and by that they just shortened her, which is, I guess, a rule that they sort of threw out by the time they made the Baroness, because she's pretty much the average size now. And of course, the Baroness was sort of replaced by Zorana, and again, that's something very odd because Zorana actually stuck around in both the comic books and the cartoons, and they actually wind up fighting each other more often than she does any other G.I. Joe female counterpart. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind-the-scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.